of the Zoom. Okay, I think everybody can see this slideshow. All right, so you can get started. Oh shit. So hi everyone, my name is Alice, and I'm going to be teaching the Crime and Forensics course here at Sage. And today we're going to be learning a little bit more about forensics and getting started on a really cool project that has it up for this course. So as you all know, my name is Alice, and I'm your forensics teacher, and I'm a freshman at high school, and I have been in various science programs like Science Olympiad, SAO Virtual, you know what that is, and I've done a couple of forensics and crime events. And this is a picture of me. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about the basics of forensics, go over some main topics that we'll be covering in this course, and we're going to look at our course project called A Mystery at Manor Hill, and it's about a mysterious disappearance that has occurred. So this course is aptly named Crime and Forensics, but what is forensics? So on the slide, I have the application of science to aid in the detection of crime. But that's kind of complicated and hard to understand. So does anybody want to try and explain that in simpler terms or in their own words? You can unmute yourself or you can use the chat.
I think it might just mean trying to use science to solve something.
Yeah, really good. That's a good answer. So in basic terms, it just means using your knowledge of science to solve crimes. Okay. And because you're solving crimes, it could be almost anything within science. So you would use a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of biology. You might need like botany or sometimes even physics for ballistics. And this really combines all kinds of science into one thing. So there's not really one specific branch that we're going to be focusing on, but rather we'll be kind of jumping around and learning all about forensics lab skills. So as I said, you need a lot of scientific skills. So in this class, we're going to be learning some scientific and laboratory skills. So some scientific skills would be observing things with your 5 senses, which I think we're all pretty good at. For example, I can say, I see a pencil in front of me. It's a black pencil. That's an observation. And you also want to record data. So there are 24 pencils in this box. And that could be your data. Maybe another box of like 30 pencils. And then you'd analyze your results. So whatever results that you do, you want to see what you can find with these. Okay. I don't know where the chat is. And you want to present your findings in a clear manner that can be understood by everybody around you, right? So sometimes a lot of people don't know in this class, we're going to do a couple labs. So we're going to do like paper chromatography. And next week, we're going to do fingerprints. So it's really important to make sure that you know all your lab skills. And some of these would be like following your instructions given to you by me and getting all of your materials before you start instead of scrambling around for things right when you need them. And cleaning up concisely when you finish. Okay. So these are all important things that we're going to be using in our class. So in the previous slide, I mentioned like, how do you present what you found in simple and logical terms? So things that make logical sense. For example, I can't just say, pigs can fly, and that's it. Pigs can fly, right? You need evidence to back that up. So maybe somebody saw that a pig flew, although it's very unlikely. So the way that we're going to practice this is using a claim, an evidence, and reasoning. So the claim, in this case, in forensics would be, which suspect does the evidence point towards? Or who do you think did the crime? Your evidence would be whatever pieces of evidence support your claim. For example, the security camera saw somebody breaking into a store. That would be your evidence. And your reasoning is that the person on the security footage was matching the description of a robber, right? Or somebody that was in the town at the time. Yeah, so you guys have probably learned about this in school. It's called CER, and it stands for claim, evidence, and reasoning. That's just a short way of saying it. I'm not going to be too strict about that for now, but we're probably going to use this kind of basic thing. So yeah, CER is claim, evidence, reasoning. If you look at the first letters, it's like, this is C, this is E, and this is R. So people call it CER. It's a very good point. All right. And I already said forensics requires an observant eye, okay? So we want to be able to notice things about our surroundings. If you guys have ever read Sherlock Holmes or watched Sherlock Holmes, there's a very famous scene where Watson is like, wow, Sherlock, you're a genius. And whenever you explain something to me, like, I feel like I should have noticed that sooner, right? And Sherlock tells him, well, you see, I've been observing the crime scene. For example, in the stairs leading up to this hall, how many times have you gone up that staircase? And Watson says, oh, maybe 100 times, right? And Sherlock asks him, how many stairs are in that staircase? And Watson says, well, I don't know. I've never really noticed. And Sherlock says, see, you've never noticed. You haven't observed something. But I have observed while you have seen. And I know that there are exactly 17 steps on that staircase. So when you observe something, you're taking note. And it's something that you can practice. Okay? So we're going to clear up some confusion between observations and inferences, because this seems to be general misunderstanding by the public. So an observation is something noticed through your senses. Example, the powder turns red and smells sweet when I mix it with water. So it's this mysterious powder and it's turning red and it smells sweet when I put it in water. But you don't know what it is because you don't actually know its composition, right? If I take this gum container, right? My observation would be, oh, look, this part is missing. This part of the plastic is missing, the plastic wrap. That would be my observation. An inference is a conclusion that you make from your observations. For example, the substance is Kool-Aid powder because it turns red and smells sweet, right? For this one, an inference I can make from my observation is that somebody, aka me, doesn't know how to open icebreakers. And I'm also quite impatient because I just ripped it off. We're going to practice this because it's a little bit hard to just have me think of it. So this is a famous painting by, I believe, Seurat, and it's made out of these like tiny dots. And yes, if you all would like, feel free to turn on your camera so I can see you guys and I'm not just talking to a screen. This is a famous painting and it's called, I believe, An Afternoon by the Seine River. So what are some observations that you can make from this painting about the people or about the picture in general? What are some observations? What do you see? Yeah, Anna.
A lot of them are carrying umbrellas, even though it's a very bright day.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
with an
So,
inference, I might want to say it's sunny, so they're carrying umbrellas.
yeah, that's a good example of an observation and inference. So we can see that a bunch of them are carrying umbrellas, mostly the women. We see an umbrella here. We see an umbrella here. We see an umbrella here. Even though it's not raining, you know? We see all kinds of umbrellas. There's so many umbrellas. But it's a very sunny day. And an inference that we can make is that they're using the umbrellas to protect themselves from the sun. Because we know that some people do that. Very good. Are there any other observations that we can make? You guys can use the chat as well. Yeah, some are in shade. So maybe it's not completely true that they're using it. Maybe is there another inference that we can draw from the fact that a lot of people are carrying umbrellas? I can think of one more inference of why they might be carrying an umbrella. Yeah, so we already said one was the sun. What's another one? Because some of them are carrying umbrellas even though they're in shade. Yeah, as an accessory. So there's so many of them, and if you look at their clothing, you know, you see all these hats. There's a hat here, there's a hat here, there's a hat here, there's a hat here. Two hats. A lot of them are top hats. They're strange hats. And obviously, we see some people wearing dresses, stuff like that. So we can assume that all of these people are wearing what is the fashion norm at the time. So it was pretty normal for people at the time to be wearing these strange, today, like top hats with like parasols, which is what you call the umbrellas. And these kinds of dresses were also quite popular at the time, I believe. And yes, good observation. Some guy is holding a cane here. He's holding a cane. And yeah, there's a monkey. Um, Actually, I'm not really sure where the monkey came from. I think it might have been because like there was a lot of wildlife, maybe. Again, you can make all kinds of inferences. Um, let's try to refrain from and it's hitting on the screen, please. Okay. I think these are some really good observations. Does anybody have final thoughts, inferences about these people? What are some more details that you can notice? There are actually some strange things in this picture. Boats. Yeah, there's a lot of boats. What's what's an inference that we can make from boats? There are a lot of boats. What can we make about the French society in general or just miss what's happening. Nicole, I think you're yeah, okay, now thereby upon river or ocean. Yes. Thereby the river Seine. This painting is called it's called An Afternoon by the Seine, I think. And the Seine is a famous river in Paris. Yeah, I think it's a yes. The monkey is here. It's right next to the dog. It looks it looks a little weird, but I guess you just wanted to add a monkey in there. There are some other little details, like I think this is a butterfly of some kind. There's a rowing crew right here. So we can see like there are definitely a lot of people enjoying themselves, relaxing. This guy's I don't know what he's doing. I guess he's just laying there. And we can all sense that air of being really relaxed and kind of enjoying the afternoon, which is something that we can see. Yeah, a lot of people think it's a dog. If we'd like to make one more inference, we see that the shadows are quite long. They're quite long with these people. So that's how we know that it's kind of an afternoon, but it's not long like in the evening where you're like 20 feet tall in your shadow. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the topics that we're going to be learning in this class. So next week we're going to be doing DNA and fingerprints. So for each of these, I've written some questions and just for you guys to start thinking about. So like, what is DNA? How is it used in genetics? How do you analyze DNA? Like how do you make those really strange DNA like visual analyses and things? And fingerprints. So like, what are the different fingerprints? What can they be on? And then we're going to move to soil, types of soil, and soil tracks, which is a lot of compare and contrast, looking and matching. And then we're going to go to pH levels, so what makes something acidic or basic or neutral, and how can we use that to solve crimes? Because I think a lot of us think of pH and we're like, ah, yes, chemistry class, right? But pH is very useful, especially with unknown substances in crimes. And finally, chromatography. If you don't know what the word chromatography means, to give you a little like snapshot of it, it's basically separating all the different parts of a mixture. Like, I'll get a pen. This is like a pen, it's a gel pen. The ink in this gel pen is a mixture, I would assume. Ink is usually always a mixture, and you can separate all of these inks, right, that are mixed together to form this lovely shade of blue. Okay, so the bulk of our time is going to be going over our first project and kind of giving you guys like a head start on the homework. So my homework policy is basically that I'm going to give you a lot of time in class to do it, just because I think I don't want you guys to be doing too much outside of class other than like preparing materials and such. So we're going to head to Google Classroom. If you guys have the chance to, here is the code for the Google Classroom. And I guess I can show you guys how to get into it. So if you go to Google Classroom, you can join a class right here. This is a lot of classes. But you click here and you click join a class. And then the class code is none. Okay. The class code is JTZGX U5. Let me copy that over. Okay, it is in the chat right now. So if you haven't joined yet, please join the Google Classroom because I am posting all the materials there. And we're going to be doing a little practice and we'll go over the answers at the end of class. So our course project is a mystery at Manor Hill. And it says here, okay, notice, information wanted, September 2nd. Ivy Lancaster, 29, was reported missing by local authorities last night. Her last known appearance was at the Lancaster Mansion on Manor Hill with several relatives, her daughter, and her boyfriend. Her current location is unknown. Report any information or suspicious activity pertaining to this case at, I didn't want to give you an actual phone number, but the story is that you, a forensic scientist at a private laboratory, have been hired by an anonymous benefactor, hint, me, to crack the case of Ivy Lancaster's disappearance. Using a few different sources, you have compiled some information regarding the case, which can be found at this link, and check the document regularly for new evidence. So if you open this assignment, there are a couple questions kind of going over some things because most of our information is going to be very hands-on and it's best learned through practice, I think, especially with science like this. I will show you guys the evidence. Here is our case file. So this is where all of your evidence is going to be. Right now, it's quite short, but as investigations continue, there's going to be more and more evidence added into this. And finally, there will be a lot of different things. So here's our edit log. So make sure to check back here and see if there's been anything new added, probably at the beginning of class, because we're going to use some of those. Okay. So here's the family history. Her parents were killed. Her grandfather died this year. This is not a true story, by the way. This is not disclaimer. And she disappeared in the mansion. So she has a couple relatives, her boyfriend. This is the housekeeper. If you'd like to read through that now, I will give you the chance to quickly skip. Right now, who has opened the assignment in Google Classroom?
I've opened it.
Okay, and Anna's opened it, Jaden's opened it. Sumin, have you gone into the Google Classroom yet? Like, have you boarded onto this like classroom? Okay, I see. If you don't have an email that you can join Google Classroom with, that might be a problem. Are you on your own like email right now? It's like, is this your own email? And then William, could you please join using this class code? Yes, that's an interesting theory. Maybe her boyfriend did something. Okay, I don't think you might, I don't know if you're on your own email. For this Sage Proctor, is there anything we can do about like, if they don't know how to join the Google Classroom? Okay, so for that, I think we'll figure that out.
What is the connection between a soccer match and Ivy Lancaster's disappearance?
Oh, that's just these are practice exercises. Right. Yeah, you can ask your mom when you get back. But these are practice exercises and they've been provided to you guys by me because you're going to have to do a lot of observing, and some of the pictures are a little bit like, I think you guys will miss things basically because some of the details are very minute. But yeah, I've been making all the pictures and stuff. It's just been oh yes, there is a link as well to joining the classroom. If you click on that link, it should take you to the classroom and you can join there. And this would be, oh, that is the wrong video. But this would be what it looks like. It might look slightly different for you if you're a student, but this is like the stream. And you can see the classwork here, and this is I'll give you guys some time where we can work through it together, actually. Yeah. This is not like most of the homework we'll be able to do together in class just because it's a lot, I think it's a lot better for students, and I also hate having to do homework at home. So okay, so we will leave this question, you guys, but let's make 3 observations about this picture or more. This picture. And you guys can say it out loud or put it in the chat. Is there anybody else who is having problems with joining the Google Classroom or opening the assignment? Okay, yeah. All right. So let's just go through some of these together as a sort of practice. So like, what are 3 observations that you can make about this picture? So let me make it big. I'll make it bigger. This is the picture. Okay, did anybody say anything? Hang on. My phone's just turned off. Anyway, so what are 3 observations we can make about this picture? Anybody have ideas? These are just things that you can see, obviously. No one? Crickets. What are some things that you see in this picture? Anybody?
Playing
I think you're saying that they're playing soccer.
soccer.
Yeah, so that would usually count as an inference, but the things that you observe that they are playing soccer is that they're wearing cleats and they have soccer jerseys or what looks to like soccer jerseys on. And they also have a goal. Yeah, Anna? Is there an observation that you wanted to say?
I think that player number 20 is about to score a point.
Okay, so an inference would be player number 20 is about to score. Okay. Yeah, I mean it could be FIFA. Although they're not playing in an arena, so I don't know if that's very supported, but okay, is there anyone other than Anna that's also, yeah, there are two teams because they're different colors. So there's a green color and a white color. Is there anything else? Is my audio okay?
They're also playing.
Oh, because you said it again, I think you cut out.
They're also playing. They're also playing like on a field.
Yeah, I think you said they're playing on a field. You are glitching out a little bit. You might want to check your connection. But yes, they're playing on a field, or what looks like to be a field, because it's green and it's quite flat.
And it also is kind of dark in the background.
Yeah, it's quite dark in the background. That's actually, I think it's the result of photo editing. That's like a technique that like photo editors use. Is there anything else that we can make? I see a lot of different things that we can. Yeah, Roger? Okay. Oh, it's very. Okay, and then the next one is using your observations and inferences, write a claim, evidence, and reasoning on what's happening in the picture in a short paragraph. So what could be a claim that we make about this picture? What's a statement that we can make?
They're playing soccer.
Yeah, so a claim could be the people in this, I'll make a copy. The people in this picture are playing soccer. And what would be our evidence for that? So I can make this copy. Claim would be the people in this picture are playing soccer. What would our evidence be? What are things that we can notice? So our evidence would be our observations in this case. Maybe someone that hasn't answered yet. Okay, yeah, that's a really good observation. Yeah. There is a soccer ball in the picture. And
There also is no girls.
Can you say that again?
Also, there are no girls in the picture.
Okay, so that's an observation that there are only guys in the picture. Assuming if your internet is being kind of funky, you can leave and join. We'll let you back in the room. But also, Roger, I think your internet connection might not be very good because you keep kind of like your audio is a little crackly. So yeah, they're all soccer players, so it's kind of like the World Cup. All of the people in the picture are soccer players. And I'll add something, and they wear soccer uniforms. Is there anything else that shows that they're playing soccer? No. There are a couple things. Yeah, he's kicking the ball. A person is kicking the soccer ball. Is there anybody else that wants to answer in the chat maybe? There are a couple more things. Yeah, I think this is pretty sufficient evidence that they were in a soccer game. So our reasoning, what would our reasoning be? How can we relate this evidence to our claim? How does it support our claim? How does our evidence support our nothing? Does it not support the claim at all? Yeah. So a lot of you saying like they're doing what people do in soccer, which is actually what our reasoning would be. So our reasoning would be like, I know that from past experiences of soccer games that in soccer, people in soccer uniforms kick a soccer ball to the goal, right? So our reasoning would really just be, well, we've seen soccer games before, and that's how we drew this conclusion. And sometimes that is really all it needs to give. But this one is a pretty simple one. So the next one. This one's pretty important. Let's see how many of you have taken lab safety quizzes, the hundreds of lab safety quizzes you need to take. So next week we're going to do a small lab / investigation into our own fingerprints. What are some important things to remember that when you do a lab? And this can be anything. Like, so what is like important things to remember then when you're in the lab? Yeah, really good, Leah. So you have to remember the instructions. Pay attention when we are explaining the instructions. Please, I'm begging you, pay attention to the instructions so that you know what you're going to do. I'm going to lead you through a lot of the labs, but even before then, I'm going to tell you exactly what we will be doing so that we know like what is going on. Yes, very good, Sophia. Wash hands before and after. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, next week, you might get some like a residue on your finger because you need to like put something on your finger to fingerprint yourself. And obviously, after class, you don't want to go and like eat a bunch of things with your hands because they're not really clean, right? There's like pencil lead from your pencil on your hands. So make sure you're always washing your hands before and after we do a lab. And I will remind you guys. Is there anything else that we should remember? We have remembering instructions, paying attention, washing hands before and after. No, is there not anything else we have to do to make sure we do the lab right? Just wash your hands. I think we got. Yeah, keeping a space for the materials. So putting all your materials with you. Make sure you're gathering them before the class. Especially when we start doing things like no, please don't eat the chemicals. We're not going to do chemicals in this class really because it would be kind of hard for you guys to do that through a Zoom meeting. But yeah, never ingest. Don't even like smell a chemical. You have to waft it. Once you get into okay. Nothing else. I guess we can put do not ingest or inhale any lab materials. Considering that we're going to be using like pencils and paper, I would very much suggest you don't ingest your lab materials. That would cause really bad indigestion, probably, and possibly like poisoning. Anything else? There are a couple more that we haven't really touched on. Yeah, good. Make sure you're recording observations and data. There are some more for like safety. Anybody? No. Okay, so one safety thing would be to make sure that you are having a clean space. I know it sounds kind of obvious, but you want a clean and open space. Right? Clean and open space. You don't want all kinds of clutter because one, you can bump into them. Two, it's just hard to work in a cluttered space. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried doing a lab when you have 20 different things on the table. It's quite hard. Can anybody think of any more?
Well, there are cases where do not digest any lab materials is not applicable. For example, when my class is doing a lab and making pancakes.
Yeah, that's true. So you can say don't ingest or inhale any lab materials unless specified by instructor. But we're not going to do anything edible in this class. Nicole had a really good point. Don't wear jewelry. Don't wear like jewelry unless it's like, I mean, for religious reasons, that's fine. But like loose jewelry, like hanging necklaces or like bracelets, like even bracelets in general, don't wear those. Don't wear baggy clothing like I am. Like this covers my hand, right? You want things to be rolled up like this. Make sure, but make sure like it's like covering like your arm and your legs. Another thing, if you have long hair, please tie it back. I mean, we're gonna be writing a lot, so it would probably get in the way anyway. But also, once we do chromatography, don't get your hair in like the solutions or anything. I think that's it. This is a little bit loose for lab safety, but it's not like we're going to be starting fires. The last thing I want to say is if something goes wrong, notify the instructor immediately. Like if you spilled something, or like something that like we're probably only going to be using water, but if like something spilled onto your things, like notify the instructor immediately and clean up. Like I don't know how you'd like start a fire using our lab materials, but if you somehow manage to do that, clean up and we will attempt to help you through the Zoom meeting. But yeah, and the last thing, or the last thing would be clean up after yourself. Make sure everything's put away once we're done with the lab. And I'll give you time to do that once we get into that. Okay, and our last question for the day is look at the evidence. If you guys have seen the evidence yet, yes, don't use broken glass. That's, I guess I would count as something that goes wrong. If there's broken glass, tell us, and you don't have to, obviously don't follow the instructions. Put it away. Probably don't try to get anyone. If you find any cracks at all in your glass, just don't use it. Yeah, any cracks or chips in your glasses, we're going to be using a water glass later in the course. If you find any glass or chips like that are cracked, then don't use it, obviously. Internet connections. I think that might be a problem on your connection. We might have to hand that out at a later time. Okay, so our last question is to look at the evidence. I hope you guys have, I can go over it pretty quickly. Basically, this one is telling you that Ivy's parents were, if your internet connection's unstable, is it possible that the stage proctor can help out with that? If you want to try leaving and rejoining for a time or checking your internet connection, that might work. But this is basically saying Arthur and Scarlett Lancaster are Ivy's parents, and they died in a car crash a long time ago. And Charles Lancaster, her grandfather, died in early August. Yeah, in the fictional world. This is not real. But they're a rich family. They have a mansion. This part. Ivy disappeared on the night of August 30th, 2023. The housekeeper, Jane, stated that Ivy put Heather to bed. Heather is her daughter. At around 9 p.m. and met with Dolly and Harry, who are her aunt and uncle, until just after 11. Ivy then went to bed with Julian, who was her boyfriend. Julian said that Ivy was gone when he woke up and failed to appear for breakfast. After searching around the grounds to no avail, Jane called the authorities at 10:43 a.m. Very mysterious. It appears she has left without a trace. These are just some facts about the people involved. This is her aunt, Dolly, her uncle, Harry. This is her ex, Noah, her boyfriend, Julian, and the housekeeper, Jane. And her daughter is named Heather, but she's not part of the suspect. Anybody have theories? I just want to know, like, this is not, it doesn't have to be right. I just want to know. Any
have the
theories?
theory that it was Julian and then he lied about it.
Okay, so it's Julian and he lied about it. The ex got jealous. Ooh, interesting. Okay. She had the kid with the ex.
I'm just asking, for one thing, how did the person somehow just magically get in and then not wake anyone? And then walk all that.
Yeah, somebody said not enough info, not enough information. That's quite true. I'm trying to see if you guys can come up with any theories before I release any evidence. There is evidence, by the way. I'll give you a hint. or a possible preview, I guess. Something happened in the garden. Something happened in the garden. But you don't know what happened. So who knows? Who knows?
Something
Anybody
happened
else?
where?
In the garden of the mansion. They have a garden out back, like a fancy garden. Nobody has more theories. You could come up with the most crazy theory and I'd still accept it. But anyway, you can write all of your theories on the assignment. That's just like a fun question that I wanted to ask because I don't know, I think it's fun. She was struck by lightning. Was there a thunderstorm that we didn't know about? From the glass. Okay.
She was
so yeah.
definitely not struck by lightning because it says she disappeared.
Well, yeah, but how do you know she disappeared? We don't know. From blind spaghetti monster. She flew away in the garden. Oh no. Let's not have okay. We have she was kidnapped. Okay. So maybe she was kidnapped by somebody. We don't know who yet. She flew away. Her ex was Jelly. Her ex was Jelly. I don't know. She had the kid with the ex. So I don't know about jealousy, but we do have motives, right? Dolly may have resented her older brother for being and Ivy for being the heirs. Harry seemed unhappy when Ivy inherited the mansion. Noah was known to hate Ivy for some reason. Julian was cunning and greedy. And Jane Thompson was just really nervous. Like she was unnecessarily nervous. Rich people problems. Can you guys tell where I got the inspiration for this? I got it from Knives Out. But yeah, she turned into this. Somebody asked what's data? Data is just like the results of your experiment. So it would be like qualitative or quantitative. She got murdered. You don't know if she's still alive. Where's the blood? See, there's no evidence. The authorities have been a little slow. She turned into a witch. Uh-oh. Maybe she turned into a witch. I don't know. We'll have to see what the ending is. But there's a lot of evidence. Yeah. I think that is it for today. Great job. Next time, yes. Please bring a non-mechanical pencil preferably. So not this. Bring something like this because you need to be able to like leave a lot of graphite, I think, graphite on the paper with your pencil. So something like that writes kind of darkly. If you have like those like drawing pencils, they might work. And then paper and then tape, like Scotch tape. I don't have one with me right now, but like the clear kind of tape that you use and it peels off really easily. Not book tape, Scotch tape. So please make sure that is there. I will send out reminders on Google Classroom. And if you haven't joined yet, please ask your parents. Yeah. Okay, let's not spam that. Yeah. Okay, and make sure to join the Discord if you would like to. If you have any questions about any of our things. Let's not spam, please. Okay. That's it for today. Okay, I'm going to read. Okay, I closed chat, but I'm going to read